There's a process for
I don't even know. Wait, when was the president immune from criminal immunity? What?
There's a process for when a president commits a crime, and that process is outlined in Article 1. It's
I'm sorry,
to impeach
what is
him.
that process?
Look.
Wait, hold on. No. Impeachment has nothing to do with criminal liability.
So when a criminal, so when a president,
with all due respect, you have no idea what the structure of our government is. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Leftist Losers Show, where we point out all the losers of the left. And today I got another clip from the Piers Morgan Uncensored show where Cenk, Uygur, Destiny, the redhead libertarian, and Officer Tatum joined him to discuss the current political situation, which is obviously a very weird one. We are in extremely divisive times. I know that's been said every year. It gets worse and worse, and people say that all the time. But the reality is, you know, one of the political frontrunners was almost assassinated like 2 weeks ago. And people are just losing their minds. That's already almost been covered up. Like, people aren't even talking about it other than in the right wing side of the political aisle. And it's just a crazy time. And there's kind of two paths to go forward for everybody in politics. And that's to either take the path of common sense and try to be level-headed in decision making and, discussion of current events, or to go the route of doubling down on the extreme rhetoric and just debauchery that is politics nowadays. And I thought this clip did a really good job of kind of showing the context or contrast between two characters on the left who people would normally say are kind of in the same boat, and that's Cenk, Uygur, and Destiny, but are kind of diverging in their path of, mental state. Cenk, Uygur has started to kind of say some relatively common sense and level-headed things. He's still unhinged every now and then. He's still a wild character, which makes him, a good host for a show because he's entertaining. But every now and then, because I think Anna Kasparian's starting to influence him with the path she's been on, he starts to make relatively, common sense and level-headed comments, especially about the assassination. Whereas Destiny's in the opposite coin. He's just losing his mind. He's in a downward spiral. The guy's absolutely unhinged constantly, and it's his TDS. His Trump derangement syndrome is just taken full hold of his thought process, and he's just, anything that benefits Trump is the worst thing possible. And it's to the point now where he's started to praise people getting murdered on the right. He's happy people died at the assassination attempt, and he displays that constantly, and it's just really sad to see. It's disgusting, and it should be shamed, but at the same time, we should praise people like Cenk when they do make comments and make take or give their takes that are relatively relaxed, right? So anyways, let's go ahead and jump right into this clip from the Piers Morgan Uncensored show so you guys can see it for yourselves.
Country in the history of the United States. And the idea that a U.S. president, that we came from a rebellion against a king, that our president is now criminally immune for performing his duties, why would we ever assume that he needs that type of immunity?
That's not true.
Is true.
When was the president immune for criminal immunity?
There's a process for
I don't even know. Wait, when was the president immune from criminal immunity?
There's a process for when a president commits a crime, and that process is outlined in Article 1.
I'm sorry, what is that process?
Look.
Wait, hold on. No. Impeachment has nothing to do with criminal liability.
So when a president,
with all due respect, you have no idea what the structure of our government is. I'm so sorry, okay? Impeachment is a political process that you use to unseat somebody, and once they're unseated, you can prevent them from holding future office. If you listen to Benjamin Franklin, for instance, talk about impeachment was created so that you didn't have to either assassinate or fabricate criminal charges to remove somebody from office. Impeachment has nothing to do with criminal liability. The maximum conviction sentence you can get for being impeached is just being removed from office and prevented from taking seat in future office.
And see, the funny thing is, Destiny just outed himself right there because, as he said, it's to prevent people from fabricating, criminal convictions to get people out of office, and that's exactly what New York did, right? New York's case was the closest to actually involving the president in any, or I should say, former president in any, type of criminal liability. And the funny thing was, they had to change the statute of limitation laws to even convict or to try him and convict him. The whole thing with Stormy Daniels happened my understanding was over 20 years ago. I know it was over the statute of limitations because they changed the statute of limitations ruling so that way they could bring this to court. So right there, his point's invalid, discussing Trump being a convicted criminal. And then on the other point, he's completely wrong. So she doesn't really explain it in this clip, so that's why I'm going to go ahead and explain it. The Supreme Court ruled on the fact that any action officially taken by the president, not unofficially, anything that Trump or any other president does unofficially, like if he just goes and murders somebody in his free time, yeah, he's going to get convicted for that. That he's not immune from that. But anything officially that he does, he is immune from. And there's a really simple reason for that. And that's because if the president had to be concerned about whether he was going to get convicted every time he had to make an official decision that was potentially life or death for the country, he would never make the right decision. He would never make decisions quickly. He'd be panicking the whole time, most likely, because unless he's a psychopath, he'd be panicking, being like, oh crap, what if I do this? I'm going to go to jail. It's the same problem we have with cops nowadays, where they're second guessing every decision they make constantly. And sometimes that causes innocent people to get hurt, right? Like, supposedly, we still don't know the official story for the whole Trump assassination, even though it really looks like an inside job because of all the things that went wrong and all the negligence on the side of the Secret Service is just a little too much for a coincidence. But the fact that you could just look at it, imagine being the sniper, right? You're on the roof and you see the guy up on the roof. If you're concerned that you're going to go to prison if you make the wrong call, like if you shoot this guy and he doesn't have a gun, he has something else, and he's just being an idiot laying on the roof, you're going to go to prison. You might second guess taking that shot. But if you're the president and you're in an official capacity and you know you're immune, you can make that decision. And maybe you would have saved Corey's life, right? That's why the Supreme Court ruled the way they did. There's presidents throughout history that did terrible things. Barack Obama killed American citizens with drone strikes without any kind of trial. These American citizens' rights were completely taken from them simply because Obama decided, oh, well, you're related to, your family member was a terrorist, so we're going to blow you up to send a message. Now, if they want to go after him for that, okay, sure, I would be all about that because that's a terrible thing that he did, just killing Americans without any trial. Yeah, that's pretty messed up. And so that's why they would have to have Congress impeach them, because that was an official act. So Congress would have to impeach them, remove them from office, and then they could be charged criminally for the actions they took. And another reason for that would be, you have, for instance, the current situation with Trump, you had New York, one state going after him for something that they changed laws to make happen. They fabricated the charges, right? If any state could just be like, we don't like that president, and then remove every other state in the union's ability to vote for someone who they wanted, that's election interference right there, right? So Destiny's playing this game where anything that helps Trump is a problem. He'll make any argument that he can. And the sad thing is, he's a very intelligent man in terms of the fact that he speaks very intelligently, right? He's able to formulate opinions that sound reasonable to people who don't have any idea what's going on. And so he's able to influence people in that way, but he's not correct. And I think in the past, if it wasn't Trump, maybe he would be willing to actually have a reasonable debate about this issue. But because it's Trump and his TDS is just off the wall and just completely off the chart at this point, he's not willing to listen to anything. And he's at the point now where he's celebrating Corey's death and hoping that other people at Trump rallies would die if this were to happen again, right? It's really sad, but that's the reality. So anyway, sorry to explain too much of that, but they don't really get into the explanation of that. Pierce takes him to the next topic. So I just wanted to give you guys a little context. Destiny's not correct in this situation. She doesn't explain it, but the reasoning behind it is, if presidents had to frickin' second guess every decision they made because they'd immediately get charged by some random state, some random prosecutor in the country, they'd never be able to make any decisions that mattered in times of war, which is the whole purpose of the president, is to lead the military, right?
That's it.
No, it's not.
All right. Let me just, I just want to move on. Let me discuss that at length. I want to move on to Trump's latest interview with Laura Ingraham at Fox News, in which he said this about Kamala Harris.
She got rid of the laugh. I noticed I haven't seen that crazy laugh that she got. She's crazy. That laugh, that's the laugh of a crazy person. But I noticed that she's not using that laugh anymore. Somebody convinced her, don't laugh, just don't laugh. Don't laugh under any circumstances, because
I like laughter, but sometimes.
Not her laughter.
Now, Tatum, what do you make of that? I mean, Kamala Harris does have a weird laugh, there's no doubt about it. She's labeling Trump and J.D. Vance as a bunch of weirdos too. Everyone's calling each other crazy, weird, whatever. What they're not debating, it seems to me much, is policy. Why has it descended into kind of just pathetic name-calling?
Yeah, I think, I don't like when politicians do this because it's pointless for the American people. Like, in a conversation where Donald Trump may want to interject that's fine. But like you said, it does nothing for the political conversation. Now, I'll say this. I'm not going to say no one cares, because I think it's a negative that Kamala Harris does have a weird laugh. I think it does turn people off to her. But I think it has zero value in a person going to the grocery store and trying to figure out how they're going to pay their bills. So Donald Trump mentioning that is completely pointless. And I think it doesn't add any value. But I didn't listen to the full conversation, and I don't know if it was just a side note that he interjected. But I think the conversation needs to be focused more on policy and how we're going to turn around America and make it better for everybody that live here.
I think Tatum's completely correct here. I think the reason Trump's latching onto her laugh is he's kind of falling back into the groove he had in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. He knows, and his team probably knows, that Hillary Clinton's like a maniacal cackle that she used to do really gave her that like personification of the evil, like crazy lady who wants to like destroy the world, because she's been a war hawk, and there's millions of clips of her just talking about war and pushing for war with Russia. And I think Trump's kind of trying to latch onto that and bring that back. And while that might work, I think the best move he could make is pretty much what he did with Joe Biden. Kamala Harris, Jesus. She can't speak intelligently at all. Like, she's not a good speaker. Her speeches are terrible. And I think if he just plays the way he played the debate with Biden and just lets her talk and talk and talk, and then comes back with policy positions calmly, he'll look extremely presidential, just like he did against Biden, and it'll make her look even more of an idiot than she already does. And she'll effectively hang herself in her career, you know? Like, yes, she's still going to get those votes of the people who are just going to vote for her because she's black or brown, whatever ethnicity she chooses to pick today. But the reality is those people are going to vote that way anyways. So Trump should just focus on winning the moderates who are looking for good policy and not play the stupid high school, like, well, I'm cooler than you and you're lame game that he's kind of falling into, sadly. And the Democrats, that's the only game the Democrats can play because they don't have policy positions.
Okay, and Cenk, on this separate rising thing about white dudes backing Kamala Harris, do you feel entirely comfortable with this? We've actually got the actual dude saying it. Let's take a listen to him.
I am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude. So that's what you call me.
I was brought to the party not so much as being white, and I certainly am, but because I'm a dude, you know. So a friend sent me this email today with your hat on there, and I said, oh, I gotta have one of those. I qualify, man. I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris.
Cenk, this white dude thing, do you feel comfortable with this?
No, I don't think it's good politics. And I don't think it's necessary at all. So let's stop playing identity politics. Kamala Harris and the Democrats don't have to say, hey, you should vote for her because she's a black woman. Everybody already knows she's a black woman, so don't worry about it. You should let the Republicans play identity politics, and when they attack her for being a woman, which they can't help themselves, they do nonstop, then the Democrats gain. And when they attack her for being black, then the Democrats gain. So stop all this stuff about racial stuff from the Democratic side. Let the Republicans do it to their detriment.
Okay.
You know, as much as I don't like admitting it, Cenk's got a good point, and I think he's right. And again, like I said, it's funny, two sides of the coin. You got Destiny, who's in this downward spiral where he's wishing death upon his political enemies, and then you got Cenk, who, you know, that's a reasonable take. Now, is he correct in saying that the Democrats are on their high horse and they don't do this? No. The Democrats, the ones who've always started the ridiculous, like, name calling and attacking people on their identity, right? That's their whole shtick, is the DEI thing. But what he's saying does have truth to it, right? Whether it's applied in the right direction or not doesn't matter. The truth is, you know, Trump just going after Kamala for being an Indian, I think, is a good point, because it shows that she's not authentic. Like, she picks her ethnicity based on what benefits her today. And that's why you saw Tatum. I don't know if you were paying attention to him, but when Cenk said, oh, of course she's a black woman, we all know that, you know, Tatum's face was kind of like, oh, really? Because the reality is Kamala Harris grew up in an Indian community and in Indian culture, and she talked about that for years. And then when she started getting into the, you know, the presidential level of politics, all of a sudden she's a black woman because that would benefit her the most, right? And, you know, the sad reality is it's kind of hard to prove that when, you know, other than through the evidence, but regular people don't pay attention enough to see those things. So anyways, the point I'm trying to make is Cenk made a reasonable thing, and I think if Trump stopped playing these silly games and just focused on policy, he would absolutely crush Kamala Harris. The funny thing is, Kamala's running her campaign like she's not been in politics and hasn't been involved, and she's a new upcoming rising star, but she's the current vice president. People aren't saying that. When she starts talking about how she needs to fix the border and stuff, the reality is she's the vice president right now, and I don't think she's been taken off the border czar position, right? So why is she not fixing it right now while she's in power? She's in power right now. Don't forget that. People can't forget that. And all Trump has to do is say, hey, you're saying you're going to do all these awesome things, but you're in power now, so why aren't you doing it now, right? That's all he has to say. I think if he focused on that, it would benefit him a lot more than attacking her for not being black, right?
Republicans
Destiny,
have never attacked her.
How worried? Okay, Officer Tatum, respond to that first, and then I'll come to Destiny.
No, I think it's superfluous conversations being had. The Republicans have never attacked her for being a woman. They attacked her because she's incompetent. And that's the argument that has been going on and on and on. She's an incompetent person. It doesn't matter if she's a woman. It doesn't matter if she's black. Nobody cares. The fact of the matter is she's a failing vice president. She's terrible. She was terrible when she ran for president. She's terrible as the vice president. She adds no value to the political realm. She has no conversations about what she can do to better America. The woman is just literally selected as the VP because she was a black woman by the Democrats. And that's not going to bode well when it comes to the policies that people need to see to make a difference in America. Nobody I know is supporting Democrats now because Kamala Harris is in position of power.
Okay, well,
It's very
Destiny,
entertaining to
Elon
me that
Musk.
Trump
see,
having-
he's doing it right there.
Hang on. I have a specific question. Elon Musk actually reposted on X a doctored video featuring Kamala Harris. Her voice had been doctored by AI. Let's take a look at the clip first of all.
I, Kamala Harris, and your Democrat candidate for president because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility at the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist.
Now, a number of issues from that. One is, on one level, it's just quite funny. It's a joke. It's a parody. But secondly, that video has now been seen 128 million times on Elon Musk's X account. He said, "This is amazing," with a laughing emoji. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, told Musk to take it down, to which Musk replied, "I checked with renowned world authority, Professor Sugondi's nuts." And, and he said parody is legal in America, which is a typical Elon Musk response. Destiny, you're not laughing. Did you not find any of this funny?
Keep in mind, no, at this point, no, I'm sorry. Just to keep in mind, okay, when the Twitter files were released, there was exactly one person from one administration that literally sent in a request for a tweet to be removed from a comedian lady because she called Trump a pussy-ass bitch, and that was Donald Trump. That is the only time we've seen a personal request for a tweet to be removed because they were unhappy with the language that was being used. That came from Donald Trump. So to turn around and be like, oh, it's so funny when they make fun of our side. Meanwhile, you got a guy who's talking about imprisoning Americans for burning the flag. Crazy. I thought Republicans were all about freedom of speech and the First Amendment. I just think that's absolutely hilarious. Also, I think it is very funny that Republicans and conservatives in general, the people of Pizzagate and QAnon and all these crazy conspiracies, have in real time, this is like the conservative wet dream conspiracy. You have the richest man in the world from another country who bought the largest social media platform for media news distribution. He made it private. He took it private, doesn't do reporting on anything anymore, and is now openly reposting AI deepfake images of left-wing candidates. Like, holy shit. It's like everything they accused George Soros of doing, except it's actually out in the open and they're actually doing it. They're all laughing about it. So I don't know.
Yeah, because it's funny.
Yeah, see, the problem is Destiny completely ignores the fact that the mainstream media lied about everything that Donald Trump was involved in for his entire presidency and before his presidency, and still to this day do not take back the lies. Look at Russiagate. How long were they calling him a Russian agent? Some people were saying he was an agent all the way back to the 80s, which means he would have been a USSR spy for the Kremlin, right? Like, they lied about Donald Trump every single day. They still lie about Donald Trump every single day. The mainstream media, probably the most influential group of people in the country, because regular people who don't pay attention see the news and think, oh, they're on cable TV. They've got a lot of money. They've got all these official sounding people of government go on their show and give interviews. Wow, they must be telling me the truth. And those people sit there and lie to everyone's face and spit in all of our faces and tell us stuff that's not true. For literal years, they did this. And they didn't do it as a parody. Elon Musk is at least saying, this is funny. It's a parody. Parody's legal. They won't say that the Russiagate thing was a parody. They pretend like that was real, even though it was proven false dozens of times. Even in official capacities, it was proven false in Congress, but they won't take it back. And regular people to this day still believe that Trump was a Russian asset. And Destiny wants to sit here and pretend like, oh, Republicans are just stooping so low because they're making jokes. The reality is, he doesn't like the fact that Elon Musk is now allowing people to play the game evenly, and he's leveled the field, right? Before, if you were conservative and gave conservative opinions, you were either blacklisted, banned, or you were just shadow banned to where people never saw your content. But now the playing field's even, and Destiny doesn't like that we get to play by the same rules that he got to play by for years. Right? He can't stand it. It hurts him. It hurts the power, right? For the left, there's no truth but power. So they will lie, cheat, and steal to get whatever they need to maintain power. And that's what Destiny's basically doing. He's going to try to articulate this however he can, so that way people feel like, oh, the right's just being outrageous right now. But the reality is the left's been ridiculous forever, and they've been utilizing institutional power to crush the right. And they're still trying to do it. And now that the right's finally starting to get a little bit of a foothold, they're losing their minds. And you can see that with Destiny. He's losing it. And it's sad to see, because you know what? It would be nice if we could live in a world where people like Destiny would be like, you know what? Maybe I'm going a little overboard. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's have a rational discussion. And let me, instead of just attacking people for their political views, let me talk to them and then have an open mind about it, instead of just immediately going, oh, no, well, even though you guys almost got murdered the other day, I don't care. Screw them. They should have got murdered because they don't agree with me. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting behavior. People like him should be shamed for that. And, we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to point out his derangement syndrome whenever we can. And anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this content. We're just over the 20-minute mark, so I'm going to end it here. I appreciate all of you guys for watching. If you've made it this far, please like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me get, boosted in the algorithm, so I can continue to put this messaging out there. And or leave me a comment down below what you guys thought about this clip, and or if you hated it, tear me apart in the comments. Whatever. I just appreciate the engagement either way. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.